The 12th stock I ever bought was NFX Gold, a small exploration company that was drilling in a historically gold producing area in Northern Ontario. I had followed the whole Brex saga, which, if you're not familiar with it, it was where a penny stock turned into a multi billion-dollar company overnight. It was based on some extremely promising drill results. Unfortunately for Brex investors that got in late, it all turned out to be a hoax. Their chief geologist actually committed suicide by jumping from a helicopter under some suspicious circumstances. It's a fascinating story and one without a happy ending, but it definitely opened me up to the possibility of getting rich from junior miners if things went right. And even if you didn't become a millionaire overnight, in those days, a good drilling report could get you an easy double or a 50% swing. I bought 1,000 shares of NFX Gold for 41 cents a share on December 8th, 2003. Then I waited for what I hoped was the discovery of the motherlode. Today's guest immigrated to the UK and ran a successful accountancy practice, and now she makes her own schedule as a London based finance coach. When I tried pronouncing her name, she said I did a good job, but I'm pretty sure she was just being polite, so I will let her introduce herself.
My name is Lina Sofia. I'm a finance coach and mentor, live in London,
And you came from Lithuania
Lithuania 25 years ago.
with, now it says, with borrowed money for the plane ticket. Is that right?
Yes, yes. I came 25 years ago with borrowed money for the plane ticket. I left my 1-year-old son back home because I needed money.
And was it just there was better opportunity in the UK at that time?
Definitely, yes, because we were just a post Soviet Union country where everything was a mess. You couldn't get a decent job or do something decent or earn good money unless you had like relationships. It was a very hard time.
Your mom was working in a factory?
My mom used to work in factories, yes, when she also ran her own business. So she's been working like since the age 16. She was my biggest inspiration to become financially free because I've just realized someone who worked a whole life very hard at the age of 50, she had no health and no money.
You would have lived through, like, when the wall came down and everything, like, you were there at for the end of communism. You would have been very young, but
Yes, I was. So I was 12. I've seen it all collapse. And then I've seen it's very hard to explain to people not like living, especially in other Western countries, what we've been through, how we lived, how everything was managed. Like we didn't even have bank accounts, for example. I'm not even talking about mortgages or loans that didn't even exist. You wouldn't have a business. You just go and work. You earn the money. And yeah, it's very different to like Western countries.
well, and your housing was just probably your housing was assigned, like, this was the housing you got? Is that how that worked?
Yeah, so for my mom, yes, so she was assigned a very small flat, like 1 bedroom, not even I wouldn't even like call it a flat. Then she got a bigger one, and then yes, this is how we grew up. So it was assigned, and then when Soviet Union collapsed, she had the right to purchase it, obviously with a very low cost, but yeah.
Now, when things started to open up, I guess you came over here is you said that happened when you were 12, and you came to the UK when you were 20,
Two.
22. Now, had things progressed, or did you walk into, like, a Marks& and Spencer and go, "Oh my goodness, look at all this stuff."
Yeah, it was very very expansive experience. It was very different experience. Obviously, we already had certain things back then in Lithuania because it's been 10 years after Soviet Union collapse, but still here in United Kingdom was very different from back home. So everything, yeah, the shopping centers, hotels, I mean everything. Yeah, so it was very different.
And had you already gone to school in Lithuania?
Yeah, so I was very good at school, and then I went to college. I didn't get into university because I made one simple mistake, silly mistake in the exams. So I could enroll only if we had money to pay, which we didn't. Loans didn't exist. So I went to college and I became an accountant.
In Lithuania, you did that?
Lithuania. Yeah, I did. I had a degree from Lithuania, and soon after I finished it, I packed my bags, borrowed money, and I came to UK.
But then you also went to Havering College, is that right, in the UK?
I learned, yeah. So when I came to UK, I started as most of us did in hotels, like in that industry. So I started as a cleaner. Luckily, I was able to speak English back then, which was a rare case because we were taught English at schools. It was compulsory, but not as strict as Russian. So, for example, we all spoke fluent Russian, but like for us, English was like a third language, and it was most people wouldn't speak at the time. So I did because I was very keen on learning English, like on my own by myself. So I could speak it. And that's why I was promoted to like supervisors, like executive housekeeper's assistant. So I quickly moved up the ladder.
And then you started your own, uh, accountancy practice, or
Yeah. So I work in a hotels from 22 to probably 25. Then I gave birth to my second child and I was on maternity leave. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to earn so much money working in the hotels. I done my maths and I thought, well, I'm good with numbers. I am very smart. So I thought I need to do something else. So I just went to a local college and I just enrolled for another accountancy degree. And while studying there, I went to and I got my first voluntary work at an accountancy firm. And then, so everything started to shift. So I was still like studying. I had an opportunity to purchase the client base of that firm, and which I did. I borrowed money and I did the purchase the client base. Yeah.
so the place you had been working, they were looking to retire, the owners?
Yeah, no, we were not looking to retire. Two partners split up, and so I think I just when we say I was lucky to be in that place at that time, but we were not retiring. One of them left, and then the other one wasn't an accountant, so you kind of needed someone. And I said, well, I can step in.
And was that easy for you when you got the credentials? There would have to be different laws and stuff for the UK specifically, that's why you had to go to the school there?
It's interesting because like accounting principles are the same everywhere, so it's just a matter of like managing. Again, I never worked back home, like in Lithuania, so I didn't have a clue about any of that. So we didn't even like had businesses or like pay taxes there. So basically, I've learned everything from scratch here, having both the basic knowledge of accounting. So it was easy for me to get into the system to understand how it all works. And yeah, so when I started to serve my clients as a business owner, I didn't even have my first degree in UK. So you can do actually you can do the work without having a degree, and yeah, this is what happened with me.
Okay, and so the business did well, and then was it your mother's health when you decided you wanted to sell? Is that how that worked?
No, no. So it's a different story. So I bought this client base. I start to grow this business. So when I bought it, it was only like self-employed people, like individuals, like maybe more than 1,000 of them. So what I did, I actually grew it with like limited companies. So my clients started to incorporate, I started to expand. So I made it very consistent, like really good income generator, and like I was making good profits as well. So everything was very consistent. So in 12 years, in 10 years, because I decided to sell, like, and then it took me 2 years to do that. So I started to make quite good money from year one. So I was earning a lot of money for the first time in my life, more money that our family could ever like see, or imagine, or my friends. So I was like this one person out of like, context, like around my friends.
So, why did you just make the decision to sell then?
Because I was 38, I already had assets, I already had money, I had a nice house. And I just thought to myself, accountancy is very stressful. It's like all deadlines, and I was on my own. So I didn't have partners because usually accountancy practices run with partners, which makes things much easier. So it was a lot of stress. I also realized that I had like same clients for 10 years, for example, and I explained to them about taxes and how it all works, but still same people after 10 years would still moan about the tax. And And I wasn't like in the self-development journey for many years, and I was developing myself. I was growing, I kind of so I felt like, okay, this job is very stressful. People like don't change; they just do the same things, and I felt that I grow out of it. Plus, I've decided that I have enough, and I should try now something else because I'm smart enough to make money like other ways.
So how old were your kids at this point?
So this was in 2008. So one was, oh God, now I have to do the maps.
Ah,
One is turning 27 next week, 7
okay.
to 20. One was 20 and the other one must have been 15.
So they're almost out of the house then at this point when you're selling.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. All right. And were you part of, I don't know, in North America they call it the FIRE movement. I don't know if that's what they talk about in the UK. Freedom, independence, retire early, that sort of thing.
No, I wasn't part of any movement. I think all my decisions, and including this one, I made myself. I just, I guess I was very conscious about the living and realizing the fact that most people wouldn't stop, especially if they are stressed or the health is deteriorating, they would still go for more, more, more. And I've just realized it's never ending, it's never gonna be enough. So I wasn't part of any movement, any network group. I just made the decision myself. I just decided I want more peace, more freedom. And I thought I have enough money, even if I didn't have to work. Maybe I would have to live like to maybe reduce my expenditure, but I was okay with that.
Did you take some time to just, kinda do nothing or hit the beach or travel?
It's interesting because it's very hard to do when you are like a high achiever. I've always worked all my life. I was always earning money. So after selling, I worked for the buyer for a year and a half, I think. This is when I started coaching course.
Was that adroit?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So, but we kept my company's name until present date. So I was working for them for 1 year and a half. And then I said, okay, that's it. I'm leaving. So I left accountancy. I kind of took time off, but it was very hard to just do nothing. So I did do my marketing a little bit for coaching. I did go to more courses like public speaking, just like get new skills because yeah, it was hard for me and it is hard for me to do nothing.
What sort of things did you do for public speaking? Was it like Dale Carnegie or Toastmasters or what kind of stuff?
No, it's one of the Andy Harrington. Andy Harrington, yeah.
Oh,
So
okay. I'm not familiar with that. Maybe it's more of a UK thing.
yeah. So yeah, it wasn't easy to just like do nothing. But yes, I did do a lot of traveling. I did, yeah, just did nothing.
Where's the best place you went?
I think Thailand. I went on my own with a backpack, like no luggages, nothing for 6 weeks.
And just the kids are, like, in school, so whatever, see ya?
Yeah, so we were, I think, yeah, the older one was already on his own, and the younger one was, I think, with his dad at the time. Yeah. Basically, after selling and after leaving accountancy, I kind of lived the life that I should have lived when I was 18, 19, or 21. Yeah, this is what happened.
That's fantastic. So, but eventually you decide to get, like, a little more serious, in coaching? Are you, like, are you trying to be fairly busy, or are you just kinda taking it at your own pace, or
Yeah, I'm taking it at my own pace. So after that time where I did almost nothing, I realized that doesn't suit me. I want to be surrounded by people. I want to be providing services. I want to get exchange, for what I do. I want to give something to people. And I've realized that most likely, like, I'm not planning to retire because life isn't interesting if you just like stay in the beach, or just play tennis or just do things for yourself. I understand this now. It's not going to happen. So I will be working, I think, for the rest of my life, but only at my own pace. Yeah.
and so right now you do coaching and mentorship?
Yeah,
for like
mentoring and coaching for small business owners, but even though I advertise for small business owners, I notice that more corporate people approaching me to help them with finances. Yeah.
so what kind of services do you offer? What kind of stuff do you do with your client?
I can't tell you, can I?
Well, don't tell don't give away the secrets, but maybe for people that are interested, what
Yeah,
who
okay.
would
So basically, what happens is some people are. So let's start with small business owners. Okay. So most small business owners, when they start business, they have no clue about accountancy, looking at the reports, like they don't understand these things. So what I help them with is to actually look at their books, understand a bit of how system works, understand the reports, so we can make decisions based on the reports and not only intuition. So when I was an accountant for those many years, I this is what I realized: there is a huge gap between a business owner and HMRC. I don't know what it's called in Canada, but the government, the tax
Oh,
people.
okay. Yeah.
Okay, so it's a huge gap. So if you are a small business owner, you may be producing fabulous things, but you don't understand accountancy, and your accountant only submits your returns to the government, but they don't, like, there is no this gap who actually sits and looks at the reports and analyzes unless you hire someone. But then small business doesn't really have funds to hire a chief financial officer. So they need to learn, they need to understand certain things themselves. So I help them to understand that. Obviously, then we work with money mindset, like we plan their growth, etc. When corporate people approach me, what happens is many people can be earning very good money. They have good salaries, but they are not good managing it. And there is a lot of shame around this. And there are like really wealthy people, I would say, but they're just not managing their money. And for them, it's very even hard to admit it. But if they approach me, obviously, then they just share, and it's a lot of them.
You know what? I hear that time and time again from people on this show about how people can earn fantastic salaries and still be broke, and you hear that lots because your spending just ratchets up and it gets out of control, and you're making fabulous amounts of money, but you're not accumulating anything. You're just in
Exactly.
debt, spending it
Exactly.
all.
And sometimes not even accumulating, sometimes using what you already accumulated without even having a clue, because they have so many bank accounts, like, and money sitting there, and they like slowly withdrawing the funds from there without even realizing it.
And then I saw maybe you took some other training, NLP. Is that neuro
Yes.
linguistic programming? Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
So is that and I'm just throwing this out there, is that more positive thinking type stuff?
Yeah, so it's
Or
mindset, positive thinking. It's like all about everything sits in our unconscious. Most of the things we do or we say or we behave is on unconscious level. It's only 10-20% that is unconscious. Everything, most things we do in life or how we react, it's an unconscious. Yeah, so NLP helps with that.
so if I was a big corporate executive, I could contact you for coaching as well?
Yes, you could.
Okay. All right. And do you find you try to keep yourself, like, working with a few clients at a time right now, just so you can devote my time to them, or
Yeah, so I used to run group programs. I tried different approaches, and I've just realized that it's best. I enjoy it most when I work only with few clients at a time, not like I don't have 20, even 10 clients at a time. I have only few, then, I have this close relationship. So yeah, this is what I enjoy doing. And maybe I will do group programs again, but not now, not at the moment.
and forgive my ignorance, but is Lithuania part of the EU?
Yes, it is.
So there's visa-free travel to, well, I guess not anymore now. Now that I say that, not is there still visa-free travel to the UK?
Uh, yes, people from Lithuania can come to UK. Now we need to fill the form, similar form that I had to fill when I was going to Canada. So some kind of online form, but you don't need a visa, no. But yeah, Lithuania is EU, and it's a very wealthy country now. Actually, things have changed. Like,
So in London, is there a big expat community, like, of Lithuanians?
yes, yes, but many now we've noticed that are moving back.
'Cause I saw your on your Instagram there, it looked like there was a poster for something, you were giving a talk, and it looked like it was in Lithuanian. You speak with that community, or is that back home?
No, no, it's here in UK. So yes, we have huge communities here. We have schools. We have like it's a huge community. It's like loads of Lithuanians live in UK. Yeah.
And are you also kind of into the a little bit into the fashion industry? It looks like maybe you were talking at a Lash conference or something like that. Is that right?
I talk to at any conference that people invite me to. So if it happens to be Lash conference, then I give my talk there. If it's this time it's nail artist, yeah. So
And are some of those focused more on, like, empowering female entrepreneurs?
those particular ones I've been to, yes, it was for women. Yeah.
Now, when we were talking originally, messaging back and forth, I was talking about how I talk about stocks and equities, and you said you don't do stocks, except you said one time, and you got it real quick. So you got to tell us, I guess, the one time when what
Okay.
happened.
So yeah, I'm not that person who relies on something that is not very tangible. And I have been thinking a lot about this since we exchange messages, and because of now many of my friends and people around me, they're investing, crypto or like stocks. And I thought to myself, so what's wrong with me? Like why I can't do this? I think it's my nervous system. And, when you invest money and you don't know what's happening with your money, sometimes you go up or down. My nervous system reacts to it. So that first time when I invested money, I have this personal manager at bank that we have regular conversation each year. And when she tells me like, or he, whoever is assigned at the time, they take me through whatever products they have, and they discuss my cash or loans, whatever. So, and they said, look, there is this, you can do this investment, they explain how it works. And I said, okay, I'll do it. So I put 20,000 there. And I think it was on my bank where I could check the balance. Not like when I open my app, it wouldn't just like look at me, but I could easily like have a like see the amounts. And I remember like it went down 300 pounds and then went up like few hundred pounds. So I think it was like few months, maybe 5 maximum. And when this war with Ukraine started, and I think, that maybe affected it. And I looked and like 1,000 was gone. And I thought, no, thank you very much. I'm withdrawing my money. And that my, investment journey was over.
Now, do you remember what it was they had you invested in?
Oh, no, I wouldn't be able to say. I know it was like in various like places because I'm pretty sure I wouldn't just go for something one. So, but I won't be able to tell you that. No.
No. Would it have been like the FTSE index, like the FTSE 100, or you don't know?
No, no, I don't know. But yeah, that was enough for me. And even now, when I think like investing, probably I would still go for property or land.
That's yeah, see, and that's I'm surprised because you talk about it being, intangible, but you work with numbers in accountancy all day, which are basically, a lot it's just numbers in a book or on a spreadsheet.
It's just numbers, but I guess, like I said, it's our nervous system. Some people enjoy watching horror movies, right? They get a thrill from watching those movies. I can't sleep. I can't sleep for a week after watching one, so I don't watch them anymore. And sometimes movies are not even like called horror movies, but they are horror to me. So, for example, like I don't know, maybe it's my nervous system. Maybe I'm very sensitive, but thank you. No, I can earn money in other ways. It's just to protect myself. Maybe I have a belief, but I'm happy with this belief because each time, when we have to question, like, for example, I have to question why I don't like to invest in the stocks, but I'm happy with it. Like, I'm happy without investing. So I'm good.
So when you sold your business, I'm assuming you got some cash. What did you do with the money?
What did I do with the money? So I was thinking, I was planning to move to Tenerife. Tenerife in Spain, Canary
Uh,
Island.
yeah, I've never been there, but yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah. Yeah. So I thought I'll go there and live there for a few years and see how life is. my boy was 15, so I was going to put him in private school because we have a British school there. So I thought I'll live there. So I was going to buy property there, rent my property here, and then I obviously had other properties already. I thought I'll just do that and keep some cash. Eventually, I didn't. We didn't move to Tenerife, so I just thought, okay, I was looking for another property to buy here, but then eventually, what I did, I decided to pay off my mortgage in my current home. So just to be like feel free that I don't have to work. Then I bought another property in Lithuania at the seaside where now I spend my summers.
So, do you rent any of these properties? Like, rent
So
them out?
no, so two properties. So one in London I live in, and then Lithuania seaside. No, I just like spend my time there. Like I actually travel now there quite regularly. So yeah, but other properties in UK, yes, I rent. Yes,
So you own, are they commercial properties or is it like family?
yeah, it's home like homes.
Okay. And that I'm sure has done well for you. The UK property market, I think, has been on a tear, hasn't it?
It has been what?
Like doing very well. Like the prices of homes have increased quite a bit.
Yes,
Or
and I think yeah, I think I probably don't want to use this word lucky that I got lucky. I was lucky, maybe I was smart, not lucky. But yes, I bought my properties at very good time. Yes, the values went significantly up since then, and the rules for buying were much easier and more favorable than now. So yes, I made quite good few investments.
and how has Brexit affected any of that? I honestly don't follow the UK property market, but
You know, the properties in UK, I think if it's a house or a flat in a good area, I can't imagine them going down. Okay. Obviously, if there are built new properties like too many in nowhere, then things can go wrong, I guess. But I don't think the price properties in UK can actually go down in if it's in a good location. So my properties didn't go down, that I'm sure of. What's happening in other areas, I don't know.
and your properties that you own are in London.
Yes.
And you haven't had any issues as far as, because I've rented properties before and sometimes you get good tenants, sometimes you get bad, but you haven't had any real issues.
Yes, I think that's another thing why I'm so big fan of properties because I've always had a very good experience with tenants. I've always had a good experience of like everything that's to do with properties, starting with buying, getting them at a good price, and then good people moving in. And yeah, I've always had good experience. So when someone says, "Oh, I heard these horror stories," or with tenants is hard, it never happened to me. So that's why I'm like, all is cool.
And did you hire management or you've done it all yourself?
All by myself. All by myself. I think for one of the houses, I found agency, and they found my tenants. But now, like I visited them last week, so they've been tenants for last 10, 11 years now.
How
Many
often visit your properties?
once a year. And like I said, I'm so like the tenants are so good. Like, but I still go because obviously I need to just to make sure. But yeah.
And you haven't tried renting out your place in Lithuania at all, like not even Airbnb or anything like that?
No, because why would I? I just want to spend my time there. So if probably I wouldn't go there as often, maybe I could think about it. But for the last few years, like 4 years, I'm happily going there myself. So kind of I have my stuff there, And
I've seen on your one of the messages you posted on LinkedIn about your messaging is sometimes very like take your own pace. Oh, and I'm that guy going, "Why don't you rent out your place for an Airbnb? Why don't you make more money and do this and do that?" And but you're very much you don't need to chase more money, right? Is that kind of your messaging as well?
Yes, yes. And actually, thank you for looking up my profile, doing this research. It's now we can really have a good conversation. So, yes, this is what I'm saying because, again, what, when you are in your 20s and 30s, probably your approach is different. Obviously, I'm not talking to 20, 30-year-olds. Okay, so I'm talking to more mature people, so they probably relate more because there is time, Terry, when we actually really force things. And I was doing that, I would make money of everything, like I would rent everything, But there is time when we reach certain age, we want certain mm, luxury of living, peace of mind. So the more you have, the more responsibility and the more tension you have. So yeah, I guess my messaging is about now, like, yeah, be in your own, space, or
Now, but part of that probably comes from the level of financial success that you've already achieved, right?
yes, but many people in my shoes would still go for more, more, more. So many people do not stop. So many people are at the edge of burnout. More like this time, it's now I had this experience where so many people are feeling really bad, but they wouldn't even admit. And because I work with clients, I have friends, and I know what they say. Oh, I'll just do this for another 5 years and then I retire, and then I retire. I mean, you may be dead in 5 years, Yes. So more people, I think, should just realize that time is the only currency, actually. And sometimes it's not how luxury the hotel is where we are staying, but actually, I value time that I can do nothing or have a peaceful morning instead of having some luxury, like in comparison. You may say I've achieved something, but I could have wanted more, but I didn't.
Well, that's fair. I mean, you got a place in Lithuania, but you could just say, well, now I need a place in Ibiza. Now I need a place, in Italy somewhere, right?
Exactly.
And you can also say, you know what, this is enough for me, and I can enjoy this instead of chasing other things. I can enjoy what I have. Hmm, that's interesting.
Have you ever met, Terry, a person who said at the age of 40, I have enough?
Not at the age of 40, not many, no.
Only when they are 70, 80, or 90, they say, it was enough, like, or I had enough, I should have stopped. So most people realize this much, much later. And this is what I said. I don't want to travel with backpack Thailand when I'm 60 or 70 with a stick. I want to do, yeah, this is what I said. And again, I never regretted my decision, never.
Well, and you see that lots too, where people work, work, work so that they can enjoy their retirement, but they don't have good health in their retirement and they can't enjoy that time. They can't do the traveling that they wanted to do.
Exactly. So many people, like I sometimes also post on Instagram, I say, is it worth going to the job that you hate, that you can take a yearly holiday of 10K, for example? I mean, if I had to choose, if I could choose, I would go no holiday. I would just sit in my sitting room for those 12 days or 14 days or even a month, but then I work less.
So for people that want to contact you, you're Lena CC Limited, is that right?
So this is the limited company's name. My website is linacoaching.co.uk and my LinkedIn is Lina Coaching.
And you would be looking for people that are, I guess you guys call them sole traders over there. We call them sole proprietorship here, but that are looking for maybe a better grasp of how their business runs and the finances behind it. Is that right?
Yeah, so people who want to manage their finances better. So who is frustrated with their accountants or making money, working hard, but not seeing the result in the bank statement. So those who want to understand the figures behind in their businesses and they want to see the tangible results and they want to learn to manage their money, whether they are in business or they are employed.
Anything else you think you'd want to share with our listeners?
It doesn't matter where you are now. It doesn't matter what background you came from, what are your problems are right now, or which country you are in right now. That does not determine of what you can achieve. Okay. But if you are not achieving, if your bank balance doesn't show whatever you wanted to show, then obviously there is a problem with your self worth. Anyone can achieve, like anyone can earn, anyone can become very successful. And if you want that and you're not there yet, then obviously look at your self worth.
Maybe like you're spending too much chasing some kind of validation that's not there.
Yeah, that could be that as well. But in many cases, people, especially people who come from countries like mine, we have self worth. We're very different when we come to a Western country, and some have this generational trauma. We have generational trauma when it comes to the self worth. We just have it.
I guess this is a little off topic, but I've seen a lot of interviews with people from former Soviet republics or from Russia itself, and a lot of them have, I don't know, seems to be a really good understanding of math and that the math education was really good. I don't know what your perspective on that was. Like, as far as your education, you went there. I think you did all of your up to high school there, right? Would you characterize the education system?
Education system was brilliant. Even now in Lithuania, people are very smart. Schools are very tough. When I compare to UK, like my boys, I remember their second language was French, but we were not even able to speak like two sentences in French, or math or any other topic, history. Like my English, sometimes it's better vocabulary than theirs because obviously I read a lot and they didn't, and we were not forced to. So education system in those countries, like in Lithuania, I can speak only about Lithuania. It's brilliant. Most people are very smart. Yes.
What would you, I mean, seeing your kids in the system in the UK and having grown up in the system over there, what would you say is the difference?
The difference is we have so much comfort here. And I like to say that a hard time makes strong people, and soft environment, it just makes these weak people. That's it. That's the difference because we had everything I didn't have. And most people these days, we have more than we need. They have too comfortable life.
Do you have any advice for parents when you're raising children and you have, substantial amount of wealth?
Yes. So I think very smart, wealthy people, they already know that the less you give to your kids, the better they become. But it's very hard because once we know that you have and then you don't want to give, then manipulation starts. I've experienced that too. So it's very hard to keep the balance. But I think if you are bringing your kids from the very early age and you basically make them see worth or like how to value money, or don't bombard them with the gifts or expensive things, I think that can be done. But yes, I agree that it's very hard when you have money not to give to your kids. But with right pairing, probably it's possible to do. But both parents have to be very conscious about it. And it's very hard. It's very hard because it's easier just to give and just like, just have it. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much for your time. You've been very generous, and I'm sorry. I'll let people know that I sprang this interview on you. You thought it was just going to be kind of a pre-interview talk, and I just said, "Let's do it right now." So, thank you for accommodating me. It's been a great conversation. I'll try it one more time, but then I'll let you do it. Rima Shaushkine?
Yes, very close. Thank you, Terry. Yeah, it's Rima Schauskine. And you are great in keeping the conversation going. And then the fact that you did a bit research about me, I really feel like we had a good talk. Thank you so much and have a good evening.
You too. See ya. A couple of things stood out to me from my conversation with Lena. One is that you can become very comfortable without investing in equities, and there's many small business owners and real estate investors out there who don't invest in equities. But also her attitude of not always chasing more dollar signs. I found it a refreshing take, and there's lots to be said about peace of mind over high returns. Having real time quotes available in our pockets at any point in the day doesn't necessarily result in clear long term thinking. And one other note from this conversation, a lot of time elapsed from when we recorded this to when I was finally able to release it. And in that time, Lena actually changed her name. So she is now Lina Sofia Amani. If you're looking for her on the socials, you can find her on Instagram at lina.sophia.amani. I'm sure her name change had nothing to do with my horrible pronunciation of her last name, or at least I hope not. Back to the small exploration company I talked about at the intro. NFX Gold bounced around a bit, then had a few promising drill results and it popped up. I sold half my position at $1.23, having purchased it for 41 cents about 3 years earlier. That meant I got all my money back plus about 150 bucks, and I still had 500 shares to work with. A few months later, I sold the remaining 500 shares at $1 a piece, as it seemed that no actual mining was ever going to occur. Plus, I needed the money for my upcoming wedding. I profited $618 after commissions, which was a 140% return, or over 40% compounded annually. When you get lucky results like this, it's tempting to think you're a stock picking genius. Unfortunately, I gave into the temptation and haven't looked back. Should have just bought the index. Please remember that the information on Terry Hogan Talk Stocks is for entertainment and educational purposes only. It is not investment advice. Please do your own due diligence. And you should probably just buy the index anyway. The opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the host or any EU nations, current or former. If you like what you hear on the show, please do all the things like, follow, rate, leave a review, tell a friend. If you have questions or would like to be a guest on Terry Hogan Talk Stocks and tell us about your first, your worst, your best, and your last investment, you can find me on X at Terry M. Hogan, or you can send me an email at terrymhogan@gmail.com. I'll leave you with a quote from Anthony Kiedis. He's the lead singer of the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who also has a Lithuanian heritage. He could be talking about my early investing days. He said, "Sometimes life's so much cooler when you don't know any better, and all the painful lessons have not hammered your head open yet."